Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I did say this week that I wasn't going to post, or I wasn't going to make a video and I wouldn't be filming, but literally just coming out of watching this week's service from Transformation Church. So as I mentioned, I've been tuning into Transformation Church's live services every Sunday, and I belong to a B group with them. So just coming out of this service, it's kind of a confirmation of something that I discussed, or something that I wrote on Facebook a few days ago in response to something that I wrote on Facebook a few days ago in response to something that I had seen and something that I had read. And it's literally everything. It's almost like it's literally everything that I said word for word. Like when I was listening to the sermon, I was taking note after note after note, because it's literally everything that I said. And I just feel like rather than making a long status or something like that, it's better to just address it this way. So yeah, so please understand that. Yeah, so please understand that what I'm about to say is all from the word of God. It's nothing that I have come up with on my own. It's nothing that I've just sat here and thought, how am I going to trigger some people? So the main thing I'm going to say is, in this day and age, it is so scary that there are people in who stand in high places, who are our pastors or spiritual leaders. It is so scary, some of the things that they're putting out, especially in terms of what's going on in the world now. And it's kind of just shown me that you can say that you love God, and you can say that you serve God, and have no understanding of who God is, and no understanding of the actual Bible. So yeah, so that for me has been something that really scared me. And I thought maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just overthinking it. But then obviously going through the Bible and interpreting it in a way which relates to now. One thing that I must say is that some of us in this generation is a specific generation, and a lot of the people born into this generation were born for such a time as this. I can't stress that enough, that some of us who feel like we've been silent, some of us who have had opinions, who have been a bit who have been a bit further than their age, you know, some people who have all this wisdom, yet people look at them and they're, oh, you're just a child, you know. And you know the stigma that we get in this generation, that we're too sensitive. No, we were born for such a time as this, and there are some things that our sensitivity needs to touch. And I just feel like yeah, so what I'm about to discuss now is yeah, it blew my mind, the fact that everything that was preached on was literally something that I said, and I even said it in my B group last week. So I'm actually going to put up the Facebook status in a minute, and you can kind of see what I said in response to something that I saw. Just before I go further, before I wrote the status, so I read what that person wrote 2 days before I responded, and then someone else wrote something in those 2 days, and I had to sit back and process and really think, is what I'm saying, is what I'm about to say, is it something that needs to be said? Can I, you know, I really had to fight with how I was going to word it. I really had to, but it was, for me, it was pressing on me. So I posted what I posted. And again, trigger warning, if some people are sensitive, I'm sorry, it's too bad. So just the background of what this person had said, they had basically used biblical evidence and the Bible to basically explain why there's no point in us fighting this this issue of racial equality, and that they're not buying into this, they're not being bullied into this, and they're not buying into it. Like, fair enough, you don't want to be bullied into something, fine. You don't want to stand up, fine. But my one thing is, if you're going to use the Bible, make sure that you have used the entirety of the Bible to back yourself. So they had used the verse saying that this is not a fight against flesh and blood, this is a fight against principalities. Yes, so like I said in my last video that I said about protecting your peace, yes, like I said, as Christians we need to pray, but at the same time God has given us action. God has taught us to have action. Jesus had action. So the main point that I made in the response status, like the follow-up status that I wrote, was in terms of like the Good Samaritan. So just in the background, if you about the story of the Jews and the Gentiles, so the Jews and the Gentiles, you would know that they were kind of like, it was almost not a Romeo and Juliet sort of thing, but imagine they are the Capulets and the Montagues. So these two people don't get along, so it would be weird for a Jew to be conversing with a Gentile, let alone helping the Gentile. So I've just got this verse, so the Good Samaritan verse. So I'm just going to read this verse about the Good Samaritan and just kind of give you some context. So it comes from Luke 10:25-37, and it says, "And behold, a certain lawyer stood up and tested him, saying, 'Teacher, what shall I do to inherit life?' He said to him, 'What is written in the law? What is your reading of it?' So he answered and said, 'You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and all your strength, and with all your mind. And your neighbors as yourself.'" Okay, so first of all, we're going to stop at that thing where it says, "and your neighbors as yourself." So as this verse goes further and further, it explains what Jesus meant by your neighbor. So Jesus talks about the story of the Samaritan. So the lawyer asked, "Oh, so who is my neighbor?" And then Jesus answered and said, "A certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and he fell among thieves, who stripped him of his clothing, wounded him, and departed him, leaving him half dead. Now, by chance, a certain priest came down the road, and he saw him. He passed by on the other side." So first of all, this priest, this man of God, this person who people look up to as somebody who speaks God's word, saw this person because they were not from the same side of them. So let's say the priest was a Montague and the man was a Capulet. So this Montague looks at this Capulet, and this is somebody who preaches the word of God. This is somebody who preaches God's love, and clearly by his reaction, even though he preaches, did not show God's love because he kept it moving. So that was the first instance. So then he actually crossed the road to go and avoid the man on the street. So then the verse further says, likewise a Levite, when arrived at the place, came, looked, and passed by on the other side. So this person, let's say they're another Montague, they saw this. Which side does it? Yeah, so this person is another Montague. He again crossed the road, saw what was going on, and kept walking. So this can relate best to what is going on now, and to what some people say when they say, "Oh no, because the Bible says that we need to just." Okay, so they're basically saying that they're turning a blind eye to what is going on. So they're on the way to church. They're on the way to church to go and pray for their brother. Does that make sense? That you've seen somebody on the floor dying, and because you weren't part of that problem, you didn't beat them up, you didn't strip them naked. You're just gonna cut and keep moving. So that was two of them. So the priest and the Levite. So then, again, you need to remember the context of how the Samaritans and the Jews were. So then this Samaritan came by, and as he journeyed, he came to where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion. So he went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine, and he set him on his own animal, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. On the next day, when he departed, he took out 2 denarii. So denarii was their currency, and he gave 2 denarii was a lot back then as well. And he gave them to the innkeeper and said to him, take care of him, and whatever more you spend when I come again, I will repay you. So he's basically saying that if the guy stays longer than 2 denarii worth, on my way back from wherever I'm doing, I will also pay that debt. So then the story goes on, and then Jesus asked this lawyer, he says to him, so which of these 3 do you think was the neighbor? And then the lawyer says it was the one who showed mercy on him. And then Jesus says, go and do likewise. So in terms of this racial inequality, us and them and us, the main thing that I have to stress to people is that this is not about a them and us situation. It is a fight for equality, and if you can't get that into your mind, I don't know what is going like. I literally do not know what needs to happen for you to make that click in your head. It's not about, yes, there are extremes. Like I said in my last video, I do not agree with all this rioting. I don't agree with all of that. But again, I'm saying that we can still action. We can still be effective. So, for example, you need to use your platforms that you have. So, like me, I've started a YouTube channel, and of all the things I plan to do on this channel, this is a topic that for some reason I cannot move from, because this is real and this is now. And that's me, whatever influence I have, whether I have two followers, whether I have 3 followers, whether I have subscribers, whether I have one subscriber, 2 subscribers, I'm using what was purposed to me to do what I was called to do, if that makes sense. So yeah, so going back to the point where we're talking about what the person was saying, so they were basically saying, oh, you need to just sit back and pray and don't get involved, and sit back and pray, don't get involved. No, I'm sorry, the Bible nowhere in the Bible, not one, I'm sorry, if I flip through my Bible, nowhere in the Bible did it say, and Jesus sat down and he let it all happen around him whilst he prayed to God and waited for it to be over. That's sorry, it doesn't work like that. Like I said, action looks different for different people. Some people cannot go and protest. Okay, no one's gonna, me personally, I would not bully somebody into going to protest. Some people won't post on their Facebook. That's fine. No one's gonna bully you into posting on your Facebook. But you need to understand that this fight and using the Bible to say I'm not gonna do anything, that's scary. As somebody that shows religion versus relationship, I'm sorry, I'm coming to your house, either you read the Bible and read it for its entirety, or you don't. That's it. You either read it or you don't. And I'm not saying that I'm a perfect person and I live this sinless life. No, I personally am a sinner, and that's why I can stand here and say, from a place where I used to pick and choose what was right and wrong in the Bible. I used to do that is a dangerous place to be, and using that to, and especially somebody who is in, I wouldn't say power, but is in quite a high place in the church. You are also responsible for other people's lives. So somebody might read that and be like, how good idea, we're just gonna sit back and do nothing about it. When, you know, Jesus talks about this, your neighbor. As a white person to a black person, that is your neighbor. Whether you want to accept it or not, and again, it comes through your relationship with people, it comes through how you relate with people, and you can see who has a relationship with somebody who looks different to them, who is a bit different to them, versus somebody who just has them as acquaintances. And how people write and how people put things on Facebook, or how people, like, Facebook right now is such a scary place. I might just delete it, like, altogether. Like I said last time, I took a break from social media. Facebook is the worst, because I feel like there's that older generation of people, and they're just not getting it. They think that, oh, the millennials are complaining again, the millennials are like, no, this has been an issue since the 1600s, and for somebody to think that an issue from the 1600s is all of a sudden going to die out, and sit back and say, oh well, racism was always there. So like I said in the Facebook status, okay, there will always be racism, cool, there will always be pedophilia, There will always be cancer and disease. There will always be rape. There will always be these kind of things. But do we sit back and we just allow them to happen? No, we don't. We get up and we make change. When you're running for Cancer Research UK, trying to fight cancer, even though you know for a fact that cancer will evolve, cancer will change, do you sit back and say, okay, well, since cancer's always going to be there, I'm not going to do anything? No, you don't. When you know that there's rapists about, do you sit back and say, oh, you know what, it's fine, there will always be rape, so we're not going to do it? No, you don't. You go and fight. When trafficking, there's still trafficking to this day, there's still slavery to this day, but do we sit back and allow it to happen? No, we don't. So why is it the same for races? Why is it different for racism? Because there will always be racism. That doesn't make, for me, I can't sit here and like calculate 1 plus 1 doesn't equal 2, 1 plus 1 equals like 10. Does that make sense? How can you say that? Because there will always be racism, that I'm not going to do anything about it because the Bible told me that I need to pray because of principalities. Yes, you know what? If Jesus had that mindset, let me just challenge some of the Christians in the room. If Jesus had that mindset and he said, well, I didn't cause a problem, so I'm not going to die for these people. Half of you people who call yourself Christians would even have salvation. Some of you couldn't even come to God. Because if Jesus said, well, deal with it yourself, because if Jesus said, oh, if there was always sinners, there'll always be sinners. So why, if Jesus said to God, oh, I'm not going to die on the cross today because there'll always be sinners, half of us wouldn't even have salvation. Half of us lives wouldn't even be changed. Can you see how like serious that is? If Jesus had the same mindset as you, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't click. You're saying that you love God. You're saying that you love Christ. You're saying that you know, and I'm not judging anybody. What I'm saying is I'm challenging them from a point of view that challenges your mindset. How can you as somebody who teaches the word to others? Do you know me? I am a teacher. My profession is a teacher. I'm teaching people to go into the healthcare industry. If I'm telling people one thing that doesn't agree with the practice, what does that makes me a bad teacher? And not even the fact that the people that I've taught, I can now be putting other people's lives at risk because of what I've said, what I've taught in my classroom. That doesn't make sense. So if I said, okay, if I'm teaching about biology and I'm teaching about how the urinary tract and everything works, and I say that, oh, this does this and this, but don't worry about the kidneys are not important, and I've told them that the kidney is not an important part of the excretory or urinary system, they're going to go thinking, okay, and then they're going to always challenge the new teaching that they have because their teacher that they trusted told them that the wrong information, and then they're going to go and probably do an operation on somebody's kidney and just, oh, we don't need this, it's not important, chuck it away. Can you see how that doesn't make sense? You need to be so careful about what you're saying, and if you are choosing not to action, if you are choosing not to be proactive in this time, all I can say is do you. I'm just saying do you, but don't bring others with you. Do not bring others with you, because that is such a dangerous thing. If you're choosing not to be proactive, cool. Don't bring others with you and back it up with Bible verses. That's wrong. Don't do that, please. Because the amount of times that I'm seeing people say, oh, but God said this, Jesus said this, and Jesus said this. Half of the people in the Bible, if David said, oh, I'm not gonna fight Goliath because it's not my problem. So half of the Bible verses, half of the Bible verses would mean nothing if all of the people in the Bible had the same mindset. And I'm sorry, I've come to challenge some people, and I've come to upset some people. I might lose subscribers, I don't care. I might lose friends, I really don't care. But like, yeah, that's the main thing that I wanted to speak about. So most of what they preached about today really like challenge, and it really just confirmed everything that I wrote in that status. So and again, like I said in the last video, you need to be intentional, and you need empathy. That's one word that I'm going to hit. Some of you need to look up what the word empathy is. Until you walk a mile in somebody's shoes, you cannot tell them that what they're going through doesn't exist. And you can't come and say, well, I've experienced this and I'm fine. Okay, cool. You've never been a black woman in the UK. You've never been a black man in the USA. Because I know that in this society, I have to work twice as hard. And whether people want to accept that or not, it is a reality. It is a reality for us. Be it, first of all, I am a woman. Second of all, I am black. So if in case anyone didn't notice those two things, I am both. So being a woman, first of all, gives me a disadvantage, and then being a black woman gives me a further disadvantage. The amount, when I can tell you I've had to work double through uni, I've had to work double. Actually, in this sermon, the pastor said is that somebody who you know is not part of the minority will get better opportunities afforded to them than somebody who is in the minority. So again, somebody who is in the minority might have to rub more shoulders, whereas somebody who is already there might not have to do as much as I have to do, and that is the reality. So how can you as a person say, oh, there'll always be racism, we're not going to do anything about it? What we're fighting for is equality. I as a person should be able to know that this systematic, I'm getting so worked up. I, as a black person, should be able to know that if I write my full name, I will be given the same opportunity as somebody who doesn't have as many names and who has a more English name. I should be given the same opportunity. Why? Because that's what equality is. That's what equal opportunity, equality. No one's trying to say that we're trying to be better. We are trying to be equal. If you've chosen not to fight for something, fine, be in your corner, but don't involve into it. And that's that.